You'll be hard-pressed to find a more beautiful landscape than the one you'll find in western Norway. Here, glaciers formed fjords that stretch up to 200 kilometers and are over a kilometer deep. But for a traveler, getting past this terrain is anything but beautiful. The 1,100-kilometer or 683-mile-long E39 highway is the only way around, a journey that takes 21 hours. On this episode of Built a Billion, we'll unpack the answer to this problem: Norway's $47 billion coastal highway. The E39 highway currently runs from Kristiansand in the south of the country and Trondheim in the north, navigating across fjords and consisting of 7 ferry crossings. The new coastal project will eliminate the need for ferry crossings completely by constructing a series of bridges and tunnels across, through, and under the landscape. Some of the fjords, however, are too wide or too deep to build the normal infrastructure within, which has led the Norwegian Public Roads Administration to begin to explore new solutions. Rogfast is the first crossing which will link the E39 with a 27-kilometer or 16-mile undersea tunnel that will reach depths of up to 390 meters below sea level, making it the longest and deepest undersea road tunnel in the world. Rogfast will consist of 2 tunnels connected every 250 meters with emergency exits, lay-bys at specific intervals, and telephones and surveillance cameras along the way. The tunnel will also have an intersection route, creating an undersea junction that connects the E39 with the Norwegian mainland. Work began on this project in 2018 and is set for completion by 2026 with a final cost of $2 billion. Rogfast is going off without a hitch, but there are other fjords that present a seemingly impossible task for engineers. Bjørnafjord, located to the south of Bergen, is 5 kilometers wide and reaches depths of 600 meters. A floating bridge has been suggested to be able to cross this menacing body of water that would be anchored at both ends. Then there's the Sulafjord crossing that has 2 possible solutions. The first is a 3-tower suspension bridge with 2 of the bridge's towers anchored on land and the 3rd central tower anchored at the seafloor, 400 meters below the water line. The second idea will see 2 floating tubes submerged underwater, side by side, tethered to the seabed with high-strength cables. Crossing the Rumdalsfjord will require a 60-kilometer undersea tunnel, similar to the Rogfast project. It would be followed by a 2-kilometer suspension bridge, which would end on Molde. But the most ambitious of all the crossings lies at Sonefjord, which is also known as the King of the Fjords. But before we get into that, if you love to hear about all the mega projects of the world and you're enjoying this content, please subscribe to the channel and help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. It'll really help the channel out. Now back to the video. Norway's largest and deepest fjord is over 300 kilometers wide and an astonishing 1.3 kilometers deep. But adding to these monstrous dimensions, there's the added problem of ships that enter the area on a continuous basis. So any crossing that is to be built will require a clear shipping lane at least 400 meters wide, with 70 meters clearance above the surface and 20 meter clearance below the sea line. As a result, the developers are entertaining multiple crossing ideas for this fjord in particular. First, there's a traditional suspension bridge with a 3,700 meter crossing that would require support towers at least 450 meters tall. To give you an idea of how crazy this is, it would become the tallest bridge in the world, surpassing the Mills Viaduct in France. There's a floating bridge also being considered, but it would have to raise to allow ships to pass, and the fact that the bridge is floating and anchored to both sides poses a serious engineering problem. And like the Sulafjord, an underwater floating tunnel is also being considered, except this one reaches way deeper into the water and will be suspended from floating pontoons instead of being tethered to the seabed. Ships would be allowed to pass right over the pontoons. A hybrid solution is also being thought about. This is where a floating pontoon bridge would be submerged with a portion of floating tunnel that allows ships to pass, almost like what Denmark features. And finally, there's a proposal for a multi-span cable-stayed bridge which would feature 4 pylons tethered to the seafloor, similar to how oil rigs function. Either way it goes, once completed, Norway's coastal project will become a huge milestone in mankind's engineering achievement and a model for future infrastructure projects around the world forever. What do you think about this mega project? Let me know in the comments below. Click a video on the screen to watch something you haven't seen. And thanks for visiting Built a Billion.